Everybody, this is Perch, and this is a question that came up in one of the comments, actually, of a video, but it was a fun one, and it sparked some good memories. So we're going to talk about this here today. So the comment basically was, what was the weirdest thing that a customer coming into the shop has ever asked to put on the pull list? And by weirdest thing, not like I want X-Men, but like something specific, like I want every Gambit appearance. If Gambit is coming out, put it on the list. Now, as a brief aside, and I don't know if this can make an entire video, but it made me smile when I saw the comments. So I'm like, well, I have to do a video on this because it's a fun topic. What is the pull list? I'm always surprised some people are not aware of what that is. So it's basically at your local comic shop. You can go in, and all comic shops have kind of different ways they do this, but you basically subscribe to a comic. You say, I want every copy of Superman, and then when Superman comes in the boxes, a copy goes into your box before it goes onto the shelf, or at the same time it's going onto the shelf. And that way, if you come in a couple days later, comic is sold out, no worries, you've still got your comic safely in your box for purchase. And different companies do different things. Some require a deposit. Sometimes the shop will auto bill you every month or every week. It's different things going on. Sometimes not. Many times, if the shop is larger, business is healthier, they will, basically allow you to cancel at any time. So if you get sick of a thing, you can say, take it off my pull list. Some comic shops will say, well, since you ordered 2 months in advance, you could say take it off your pull list, but it's actually going to fall off your pull list 2 months from now. There's a bunch of different things that go on. Generally speaking, if you're a customer in a comic shop and you're even marginally reliable, then the shop will do whatever you want. They'll let you drop a title. I mean, keep in mind, by the way, that the shop owner, he understands. Like if a title is doing really well and then suddenly goes to hell, the shop owner is not going to sit there and go, you jerk, you're abandoning this thing and sticking me with money. I mean, maybe, but very few. But shop owners understand. They know they're stuck with it too. They're feeling what you're feeling in a lot of cases. So they may not be happy that suddenly you're dropping a title, which means that a copy was ordered for you, and now it's got to go on the shelf where it probably won't sell. The shop owners is not thrilled about that fact, but the shop owner doesn't blame you for that. They get that things change. Many shop owners for pull lists will, if you're ordering a really expensive item, will ask you to pay up front, or, this is a case where like you order some like $2,000 ticket item or whatever it happens to be, and the shop owner has, again, different rules, different things that's set up. In general, when I've run a shop, I would always do things like if I got extra copies, like overships, then I would put it into the pull box of customers that like generally those things, and I'd put a little note on there saying, this is free to you. It's an overship, so it's I'm not going to bill you for it, but here's something to try out. I always did a good job of separating the comics that I expected somebody to pay for and the comics that we try out. And this gets to kind of the heart of this question, because sometimes comics will do things like somebody will say, I have a huge interest in Jeff Johns, but all I'll read is DC Comics. It's like, okay, so Jeff Johns goes and does Geiger. So what do? Technically, the customer told you they don't want things that are non-DC, but they also told you they love Jeff Johns. So in many cases, if I have the ability to do it, I would put a copy of Geiger in the box, but I'd put a little note on it or a little thing on there saying, basically, here's the stuff you ordered, and here's the stuff that I think you're interested in. But if you're not, no worries, just hand it back to me. We'll put it on the shelf, and no harm, no foul. But generally, you try and not read the minds of your customers, but at least get a relationship close enough to them that you can predict a little bit what they want, and you can actually give them suggestions. Some comic shops do this, and they don't make it clear, and then it feels like they're trying to sneak in comics, and that always, I think, is super dodgy, bad behavior, and I think those stores always suffer because that's just no customer likes to be. They get home having not closely looked through what was in their pull box and discovered that the shop owner decided to put a couple extra things in there that they paid for. That's garbage. But in terms of the craziest things that people have asked, so in a lot of cases, the comments come down to characters or creators. So with creators, it's pretty easy. I want everything that, again, Jeff Johns works on. Put everything that he works on in my box. That's very common. I want everything that Grant Morrison does. I'm thinking of the creators that I've heard over the years, and definitely Grant Morrison. They're always a big one. The Jeff Johns, yes. Chris Claremont is another one. John Byrne, although there hasn't been a lot of that for a while. Those are probably the big ones. I'm trying to think of Art Adams is another one that would always come up. Walt Simonson. Often it's artists, but every now and then for writers, it's like who are the big writers that are going to really move the needle for customers, and it's usually people like that. There was a time when Bendis had that moment, and there was definitely a time when Tom King did, and that'd be an interesting video too. Like at what point were people really into it, and what when not. I remember when Sheriff Babylon and Vision were out, and Tom King. A lot of people are coming in saying, "Give me everything Tom King," and then that Batman series put an end to that by and large for a lot of people. But Tom Taylor's had that reputation when he was getting a lot of things going with of late, or recently. But in general, it's like that. Or characters, and the one that I think is probably the most common, if I'm thinking about it over the years, is Gambit. Gambit, even currently, even today, there is a definite interest in Gambit as a character, and there's a fan base out there. It's like I want everything Gambit. The one that's probably closely follows behind Gambit is Poison Ivy. Those two characters, for a long length of time, were if they appear in a comic, I want it. Before they got popular, and when not popular, maybe it's the wrong way to put it, but before they started getting their own solo books, Harley Quinn and Deadpool used to be like that, where any Deadpool appearance I want. There was a time, certainly in the '90s, when it's like every Wolverine appearance, which was always wonderful because he was appearing in everything, so that was just good money. Punisher, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider is another one. I'm trying to think just of the characters that would come. But every now and then, I had a customer who was really into Raven, so any kind of appearance of Raven over at DC would be another one. That's pretty common. The next level, though, is the harder one, and that's where people are asking for things that are a little bit tougher. And keep in mind, even things like, give me every Gambit appearance can be tricky. There was a time, again, in the '90s where Gambit would be like show up for a panel and not even be promoted on the cover of the book, so you wouldn't necessarily know the character was there. But I've had requests of I want everything cosmic, which is again very broad, very tricky. It's like, okay, this is during the DNA run of Guardians, and it's like, all right, well certainly Guardians, but then you get to like World War Hulk. Is that cosmic? Sort of. I mean, it's what is cosmic exactly? That's where it gets tricky. I've had customers ask for everything horror pulled. That's again another one where it's like, all right, by my definition, Blade showing up for a special adventure with Power Pack is not horror, but in somebody else's eyes, maybe it is. I don't know, but that's another example. My favorite one, though, I'm leading up to my absolute favorite one was I had somebody's like, anytime there's a character in a bikini in the book, I want it pulled. And I remember that was first. It was I ultimately. What did we do with that? I think we took the request, and then like a month or two in, it's like I don't know what to like. This is too hard. No pun intended. This is just too difficult for us to come across. I mean, first off, in the '90s, the majority of superhero costumes are like skin tight, and many of them are like bikinis, but that's just the costume. So is this strictly the character is going to the pool kind of thing, or is it like what constitutes a bikini? And then like if the character is watching TV and there's somebody on TV in a bikini, does that count? I mean, this is tough. And in the back of my head, I'm going, well, you're clearly horny. So why don't you just why can I order you some porn? Like I've got Cherry right here. And I remember actually saying, like, do you want, we do have some adult mags we can do, here's Omaha the Cat Dancer, you might like this one. And it was like, no, I don't want any porn. I just want any bikini appearance in a comic book. And it was just so, I was like, you know what? I'll get you the Sports Illustrated swimsuit. I'll get you Maxim. There's this new magazine, Maxim. It's pretty much right what you want. But it was drawings of women in bikinis. That's what he was after. And that one always has struck me as the most absurd thing I've got. But there's been others. I remember there was like I want every Green Lantern comic that does not have Hal Jordan in it. So as long as it's Green Lantern without Hal, pull it. That was another one. And Jeff Thorne was a great customer for me for many years because of that. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't Jeff, but that was a real request that I had for that one. I also had one of like, I want to, oh, this is a good one. I want every Iron Man comic that's Iron Man, where he's not in the armor. So any comics where Iron Man actually doesn't suit up as Iron Man, I want those. And again, these are real requests, folks. I promise. These are, and I don't know what was going into it. Generally, the thinking every time is there's some kind of collectability thing that the person's getting at, and that's what they think is happening with these comics. But anyway, there you go. So if you happen to work in a store or you've made requests of your own that are strange, let me know in the comments below. But this is a fun topic. I really appreciate this topic coming up because it's fun to walk down memory lane. Anyway, thanks for listening.